really busy day today in the kitchen. We are going to tackle freezer meals. We need to get food prepped and cooked and ready to eat so that this summer and this spring and summer we have ready to go meals, because we are going to be so busy in that garden and finishing up our school year. So let's do this. I have one family size pack of chicken thighs, and I'm going to kind of break that up with stuff. And then I have two pretty large packs of just chicken breast. Now, we have this is just for using shredded chicken. So one of them is going to actually be seasoned on its own, because that's going to make our Cool Ranch taquitos. And then on here, we're just going to put our regular shredded chicken plain. So if you've watched my shows before, one of my shows does show how we do the shredded chicken. That's quick. But okay, so for the Cool Ranch taquitos, we're going to need some chicken breasts in here and smaller thing. We do have to make the seasoning for it, but we will at least get this in the crock pot so the chicken starts warming, and then we'll make the seasoning. I think we're going to need seasoning for other ones. These are really big pieces. It says 2 chicken breasts, and they fit in there pretty good. So 2 for now. And if I feel like I need to add more, then I can add some of the chicken thighs. So I'm going to layer the bottom with the chicken thighs in here. You know what? I think I'm going to put 1 chicken thigh in there just to give a little extra flavor. And then after we get all this chicken in here, we want to wash our hands, get this counter cleaned up, because you don't want any of these raw juices to contaminate any of our other meals. And we'll have to see how much of the recipes we can get done, because I didn't really count it out very well. Just looked at what I wanted to make and got my meat, and whatever I can get done on the list, I will get done, because most of the ingredients are pantry ingredients for me. So yeah, I have a lot of wiggle room with stuff, so we'll see what we get. This one we are not going to season right now, because we're going to make the seasoning and then we will add it in. This one we're going to add a little bit of pepper, some salt, and our favorite poultry blend. And that's it. That's all we add to get our shredded chicken. It will cook beautifully. Mix it up and it'll be shredded. We're going to make a taco seasoning packet, and I have these 3 extra jars. So this is what we're going to put it in to dump into our crock pot. Okay, so we need 1 tablespoon of chili seasoning, 1 teaspoon of pepper. I always feel like when I'm making a seasoning mix that I just might as well do more. And then so a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And the rest of the ingredients are also a 1/2 teaspoon. So ground cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, and this is paprika. I'm doing a little bit extra. It says 1/2 teaspoon, but I'm kind of doing a bulging 1/2 teaspoon. It says red pepper flakes, which the only thing close to that I have is crushed red pepper, and I'm just going to add a little bit because I don't want it too spicy, or else my kids are not going to like it. So then that is it for 1 packet of taco seasoning. And I'm just going to mix that up. These I'll put in my pantry, so they're ready to use at another time. And this one will just get mixed up, get that done. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the ranch seasoning. We have 1 tablespoon of parsley. One teaspoon of garlic powder. One teaspoon of onion powder. Three-quarters a teaspoon of dill. A half a teaspoon of pepper. And a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to put the lids on. Shake it up. And if you have dried buttermilk, you would put a tablespoon of that in each thing. I do not, so I'm just going to add buttermilk when I use these. Alright, so we're going to mix this all up because this is all going to go into our chicken taquito recipe we're going to actually sprinkle this onto the chicken while it's cooking in the crock pot. And since I'm going to be using a lot of buttermilk instead of making it myself, I already pre-purchased it and I am going to add some in here. We have 3 tablespoons of oil. And 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Very carefully, we got it in there. This is like really full, so I'm just gonna lightly mix it above the chicken so whatever spills can at least still be in our chicken. And I think that is good enough. The rest, all right. So that is that. We'll let that cook. Now we're gonna make cherry barbecue ribs. And these are just gonna go into Ziploc bags. And then we will put them in the freezer. And this will be really easy. The worst part about this one is literally grabbing all the ingredients. That's the most time-consuming part of this. So now that we've got that done, we're just going to put them in, and then when we want to eat them, we'll just throw them in the crock pot, empty this in the crock pot, and dinner is ready. So with that, I have country-style pork ribs, boneless. And they're pretty cheap. They're not like an expensive cut of pork. And they just come out so tender and so yummy every time. So we really like this. And I made my own cherry jams this past year in 2023 just to have for this recipe because it comes out really good. If I remember correctly, I haven't made this in like a couple months. But I feel like every time I make it that there's so much sauce. So we should be good. And it's definitely been more than a couple months. Probably, I don't know, 6 months. 1 cup of ketchup. And I did make ketchup last year, but my kids still like having regular ketchup from the squeezy bottle. But this tastes really good. So anything that calls for ketchup as an ingredient, I've been using this ketchup that we made, and it worked great. I will make it again this summer because there's a couple times I probably would have used it for other things, but I was kind of trying to be conservative to make it through. I only made 1 batch, and if you cook tomatoes, tomatoes cook down really, really fast. So if you want to get a lot of something from tomatoes, you need to have a ton of tomatoes. I wanted to just test out the ketchup recipe and see how it worked and if we would like it and if we would use it, because sometimes you like something but you don't end up using it often. Not that it's not worth the time to do something like that. Get that back in. We have 1 jar of cherry preserves, 1 cup of ketchup. Just get these ones out. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Maybe I said it right. Maybe I didn't. The world may never know. Spicy brown mustard. We need 2 teaspoons. And 2 garlic cloves. I think sometimes I like to use this for convenience. So 1/2 teaspoon. 1 clove. So we have 2 cloves in there. Salt and pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. 1 teaspoon of salt. If you wanted to add liquid smoke, you could add a little bit of that in there. I just need a 1/4 cup of cider vinegar. A 1/4 cup of that. Yeah, this is going to be plenty for the 2 meals. 2/3 a cup of brown sugar, and then we need our onion. Here's the brown sugar. Alright, so I'm going to stir this up really good. And this works better than an open bag. Here. And then we will put the other onion in that bag. Alright, so 1/2 an onion in each bag. The recipe calls for a total of 1 onion. Alright, now I'm going to cut these open and get them in. I'm going to get these ribs in here. I'm going to put 1 pack in each container. I'm just going to give this another stir just to make sure everything is mixed up. And then we'll dump in here and there. Do our best to share well. Get as much air out as we can. They're great aiming skills. Alright guys, it's official. We have our first 2 meals. Now we're going to make salsa chicken. This is going to be another really easy one. We're going to mix the ingredients in and then we'll add our chicken and whatever else you want to put in it. So I also made in the fall mushroom soup so that I can easily make cream of mushroom soup because you cannot safely can cream. It's not safe. It will not work using home cooking resources. So I always have heavy cream on hand. It lasts really long in the fridge, so there's really no reason for me to not have it because we use it for stuff. Heavy cream. All I added. Now I have cream of mushroom soup. Add that in. A cup of salsa. This is 2 cups. So I'm trying to split that. And then, remember we made our taco seasoning? Packet of taco seasoning. See how easy that was? Because we made it already. Now I have some freezer chicken that rather wash tongs than touch raw meat whenever I can avoid it. I have to wash my hands so much with cooking and cleaning and dogs and all that stuff. So slide that over. Again, our cream of mushroom soup, taco seasoning, salsa. So I always save these types of jars, and I'll wash them up and clean them and store them. And my plan for the summer was to grow a lot of herbs. I wanted to not have to make or buy any herbs from the store as much as possible. If I could grow it, I'm going to try and stock up on my herbs as much as possible and make my own seasonings and use these for those opportunities. So anyway, the only thing that I ended up having to buy for this meal was the salsa. I already had some leftover chicken breast in the freezer, and I had the cream of mushroom soup that I made. We made the taco seasoning. So the only thing I actually went to the store to buy for this product is the salsa. So pretty cool. That's the beauty of having a well-stocked pantry. And when I made that mushroom soup, most of it was pantry ingredients minus the mushrooms. When the mushrooms were on sale, the pack was 99 cents. I made, I think it was 18, it was either 12 or 18 jars, equivalent to cans, of mushroom soup for 99 cents. Really, you can't beat that. You cannot go to the store and buy one can of cream of mushroom soup for what it cost me to make the entire batch that I have in my pantry. This is great. This will just get dumped in the crock pot. When it's done cooking, you'll add 1 cup of sour cream, and I wrote that on my bag so I don't forget. If you don't like sour cream, then don't add it, or if you don't want to have sour cream. It will still taste delicious. And I usually make like rice and corn, mix that up, put that on the bottom, shred this chicken up in all the sauce that it makes, and it comes out really, really good. You could make a wrap with it, you could make your burrito bowl with it. So now we have 4 meals. So satisfying to get my check mark done. Greek chicken, and this will just be for grilling. So we're just gonna take frozen chicken that is thin sliced, put it right in the bag with our seasoning blend. So in order to make the marinade for the Greek chicken, we need 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of pepper. You know what, actually I'm gonna put my dry ingredients in here first. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. These are all gonna be 2 teaspoons, so I'm just gonna say what they are. Oregano, basil, and onion powder. And a 1/2 cup of lemon juice, 1/2 cup of oil. I'm gonna give this a stir. Dump that in. Give that a stir. Looks good. Ooh, and separate our chicken. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll start with 4 and we'll see how many we can get done. So we're gonna dump that in. Garlic Parmesan. Again, all of these are going to be the chicken frozen in the marinade that we can use on the grill on a day when we just want to have a grill day. I don't have to worry about marinating anything. I just have to pull the bag out and that's it. Parmesan cheese, 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. My husband doesn't like mayonnaise, so I'm going to use sour cream. 1 tablespoon of garlic, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Did I say 2 tablespoons? It's supposed to be 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Woo. There we go. And let's see, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. That is it. Now we have garlic Parmesan sauce. Kind of mix that up a little bit. You can use this as I'm going to make it just as a sauce. You can put it in a jar in the fridge and let it sit for like an hour so that the flavors really come together and blend. And then that's all you need to make the garlic Parmesan sauce. So now I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4. Island chicken marinade we have to get on the stove, so I will record over there and it cools before we put it in the bag. So for the island chicken marinade, we have to make the sauce on the stove and let it cool down. So I guess I should have started this one first, but that's all right. So we're using 2 tablespoons of avocado oil and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1 whole onion chopped. We want to cook those until they're translucent. The onion's looking pretty good. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of garlic. Cook that up real quick. 1/3 cup of brown sugar. 1.5 teaspoons of allspice. 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. 3/4 teaspoon of pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. A sprinkle of cayenne. 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. And 1/2 cup of soy sauce. So we're going to stir this around. We want the sugars to melt into this. Looks good. Alright, so we're just going to move it over and let it cool. I did put the chicken in here, so all we have to do is add the marinade when that's ready. We're going to do 2 more bags. Put the marinades in here. Okay, so balsamic chicken is this one. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, and then a teaspoon of oregano, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. We're going to add that in. Smells so good. And 5 chicken breasts. I also added another chicken breast to the Greek chicken one, so there was 5 in there as well. And then our next one that I wanted to do was a barbecue chicken marinade. Alright, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Alright, we need paprika, so we need 4 teaspoons of paprika. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 teaspoons of avocado oil. 2, 3. Oh goodness. 4 tablespoons, not 4 teaspoons. Let's learn some math now. 4 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. So as long as we do the same proportions, that will be fine. And let's see if that's enough for this. So now I'll add more. Another thing. Alright, so 1, 2, 4. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more meals. So we have 9 chicken meals now. Okay, we still have the Cool Ranch shredded chicken cooking and our large crock pot of shredded chicken cooking. So we are good on chicken. I'm going to get all this cleaned up and then we're going to tackle some more. See you soon. Party time's over. So I cleaned up my sink and put some of my stuff away. I'm going to pour this in here. It's nice and cool. So now we're up to 9 meals made. This is, if you remember, the island chicken marinade. It smells really good too.